When I was in Yarl, I found it hard to believe that I was in the UK. I seemed to be in a place where human rights don't exist. I saw so much misery and depression and mental illness while I was in there. There is constant crying and self-harm because women don't know why they are there or for how long. These are women who are desperate. All this is caused by disbelief in an age where we all know is the information age. I don't understand why they don't investigate a little bit more into the situations people are fleeing from. Can't they understand that I would never willingly leave my home and my family unless I absolutely had to? I would never have made the choice to be a person without power, without status, who is seen as less than human and treated as a criminal when she is vulnerable and asking for help. I am still so shocked and traumatized about the way I was treated there.
Women in Yarl,
we are with you!
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 This is Sarah from Women of Color in the Global Women's Strike, and you should know that today, all over the world, in Spain, Canada, the US, and other countries, Greece, there are actions to close down all detention centers.
Currently, there are 47 ongoing conflicts in 35 countries, with an additional 26 countries at high risk for civil unrest. Among these countries, 15 were territories in the former British Empire. In 2013, the Home Office received approximately 25,000 applications for asylum by persons from countries England once claimed as their own. Calls for stricter border control laws to reduce the amount of immigrants entering the United Kingdom resulted in more maritime patrols, stricter laws concerning visa applications, and an increasing number of immigration detention centres. The unfortunate few who manage to enter the UK are subjected to lengthy criminal trials and imprisonment. The Yarl Immigration Removal Centre houses female detainees and children. The facility is accused of violating basic human rights laws, sexually assaulting detainees, and murder.
In June 2013, I went to report as usual in Stoke-on-Trent, where asylum seekers have to go and sign in regularly with the border agency. This is always stressful. On that day, there was a summer party planned at the Cameroon Centre in Nottingham, but I never got there because when I went to report in, I was taken into a room and shown the letter of refusal. The letter was a month old and neither my solicitor nor I had seen it. The staff said that because of the refusal, they would have to detain me. Then later showed me a ticket home that was due to leave in 6 days' time.
I understand there's a woman who's been in there for 2 years. Can you tell us something about that?
Yes. There's a woman who has been here for 2 years. She's on her 3rd year now. She came here walking, but now she's on a wheelchair, and she doesn't even get any visitors. I tried to go and see her. They didn't allow me to even see her. So she's locked in a room alone, and they don't want anyone to know.
We can report it to the members of parliament and to the police and force them to investigate what's happening, because what's happening at the moment is Serco and G4S are responsible for investigating themselves, and they're just covering up men dying at Harmondsworth, women being sexually assaulted and raped in Yarlswood, people dying in Yarlswood, that's right. Jimmy Mabenga killed, and we can force proper prosecutions of these murderers and rapists.
They took me to the airport with my nightdress with no shoes. They put handcuffs on me. 3 times they carried me like I was luggage. When we arrived in the airport, they carried me and put me on the floor. They were laughing, and I was so cold on the floor.
Serco is the largest international corporation you have never heard of. Operating across numerous sectors, they are in our schools, hospitals, local government. They transport us and protect us. They are mandated to manage security threats and vulnerabilities to physical assets, persons and information. Serco currently manages the Colnbrook and Yarl's Wood immigration removal centres, as well as providing escort services, detaining and removing persons from the UK. On March 24th, 2014, Jamaican immigrant Christine Case died in Yarl's Wood from a pulmonary embolism. The guards ignored her cellmate's cries for help.
I fear to sleep because then nightmares have me in their grip. I lie there waiting for the morning light to announce the beginning of a new day, even though I'm afraid of it. I focus on the ventilation whizzing in the room until precisely 7:30, when the jingling keys and stomping feet in the corridors announce the approach of the official beginning of my day. The door is thrown open with a force that rattles the scanty furniture in the room. An officer stalks in, disregarding my presence, unmindful of my roommate sleeping, turns and shouts to another functionary with a clipboard in the corridor, 2 in 9, before banging the door on their way out so that everything rumbles on, long after their footsteps recede down the corridor. That is the first official roll count of the day. It will happen again, just the same, 2 more times before the end of the day.
Hi dear, I'm Amina from Liverpool. I have been in Yarl's Wood and I have been detained twice a year. I have been detained in 2012 and 2013. And now the sport of all these ladies, I'm out now and I'm standing for you all. I just want you all inside, don't give up and don't be hopeless, don't depress, just try to, like, you have a good opportunity inside. You know, when I was inside, I was always say, I was used to say, thank God you gave me opportunity to see these people and to expose, and I'm inside, you know, to collect the evidence, and I can speak out. I can speak out and I can fight for it.
Right.
So don't give up. Don't give up. We have right. We are not criminals.
Yes.
We are not criminals, and seeking asylum is not a crime.
Amina Rafiq was sold into domestic servitude by her father and trafficked to the United Kingdom.
The biggest frustration is you can't do while you are waiting anything. Being asylum seeker, if you didn't hear anything from Home Office in response, means like you'll find yourself, not only me, everyone finds themselves useless, a loser. Oh, we are shit. If you see people, oh my God, people are really they're in good lives, they're living good lives, they're having what they want, but we are not, like people are too busy, and they're being really fast in their lives, and we are stuck where we are. We are not, like, asylum seekers don't consider themselves like other human beings.
Under the Immigration, Asylum and Nationality Act 2006, asylum seekers are not allowed to work or enroll in tertiary level schools. They receive a grant of £35 per week to cover food, transportation, clothing and phone bills. Amina occupies her time helping other asylum seekers as a volunteer.
All of these women here are seeking, they're not...
Yeah, some of them seeking, some of them been through the detention system. There's stories like some of the victim of violence, they're vulnerable, so that's why they want to keep it safe for them. People come here with their letters, they speak to their solicitor on their behalf. If they have got a problem, they've got a letter from Home Office, anything, so they can come and speak to them.
Recent changes to the free legal aid services exclude asylum seekers from accessing the service. they must now hire private solicitors at their own expense or find a lawyer willing to work pro bono.
Write a letter to the casework team and maybe you need to come with me to the office after the dropping and then I'll do the letter.
So would you say you were forced to come here?
Yeah, that wasn't my choice. I didn't know that I'm coming here. That wasn't my... Yeah. You're not getting married, so you're not make decision for yourself.
Do you want to go home?
No, because if in a practical, if you look at me, I lived here 4 years, but I think this is what I lived, will go back. So I came in such a condition or in an age I didn't know anything. If I'll go back, I can't recognize anything, even my relatives. So I can recognize there will be a big language barrier. I'm not really good in my own Punjabi language. I can't speak. She's Punjabi. I'll be transparent because it's similar, but I'm not really good in Punjabi. I can't understand pure Punjabi.
Could you tell me about the process of seeking asylum?
Sorry, it's frustrating to talk about. I'm sorry. It's really frustrating. Because I've been through now 2.5 years. It's enough. So I can't talk about it more.
So it's difficult when people talk about what is Britishness and stuff. It's like, well, I think the point is not to define it. Anyone can be British if they if they want to be, or maybe not if they want to be, but if that's the hand they get dealt, it doesn't mean that you have to believe a certain way or dress a certain way or live a certain way. It's it's just basically whatever it says on your passport, I guess. Well, I'm lucky enough not to have ever experienced any of it firsthand, but from what I can tell, there's so many problems with it. I mean, the main problem being that they're detention facilities for people who've done nothing wrong. It's not, well, in my eyes, it's not a crime to cross a border. I find it kind of ridiculous that vulnerable people who are fleeing their own problems then get treated as though they've done something wrong, when I don't think there's anything wrong with being in a place. That's basically the long and short of it. And then of course all the stories we hear about the things that go on there, the lack of accountability, especially when they're being run by private companies. It's so difficult to get any feedback on what's happening in there. It's all very closed, very difficult to get in. So when you start hearing these allegations, you think this could just be the tip of the iceberg, really. Like, we have no idea what goes on.
So, we're Migrant Artists Mutual Aid. We're mixed, mostly, we call ourselves scruffy mums, to be fair, because part of the criminalization of migration is dehumanizing migrants. So this is a space, as scruffy as it is, where people, white people, black people, brown people, beige people, come on Wednesdays. We have food together, and our children play together, but we also have an infrastructure for a campaigning. So if anything happens, it's a group of mothers and women who stand up together and say, actually, not at all.
What happened with Naomi again brings it home how important it is that we keep talking to each other. So, and that we know stuff about each other. So one thing I'd really like to know today is if anybody is signing at the Home Office this week. But you know, you can all contact the number you're getting the text from if anything happens. If you want to feel that someone should know that you're at the Home Office, you can always text to Jennifer's number or to my number. Okay, we know where you are.
In June, Naomi, another group member, was removed from Yarl's Wood. She received deportation directions for June 27, 2014. The group started a successful media campaign, and Naomi was not removed from the UK.
So Naomi is like, she's anti-Naomi. She's like our friend. She is an activist, right? You can't, when you're when you campaign for migration justice, the state is so massive. But what I believe is that you fight from where you stand. So we fight fiercely for the people in our group. And Naomi stands up and raises her voice for justice, okay? And it did not look good. Like, it was really fast. All bets were, it was a really difficult case, what they were saying, but I'm like, we're gonna go down fighting. So all of her refusal was about this proportionality. Like, yes, she has a right. So yes, she has a right to a private life. She has a private life, but we're happy to disrupt it because it's proportional. And then they said she has no family life because grandparents don't count as family. And so I'm like, okay, let's see what everybody else thinks about this. Okay? You know, would you do it to your grand? Is your grand part of your family? Detention it's a violation of international law. What we are doing is violating international law, okay? The UK is breaking the law. And the thing about Britain and the history of Britain, and you talk about British values, and the rule of law is a British value, so why are we letting this happen? And so Mama's clear. So what Migrant Arts Mutual Aid sometimes is like, tries to circulate a message about like, come on, wake up, actually. Stop snoozing through like breaking all of our international conventions. So the funniest thing is like you hear the Yarl's Wood story. So people turn up there in their wedding gowns. They pick people up at the registrar office in their wedding gowns and bring them to Yarl's Wood. And you're talking like some of these kids, like they're MPs, like you conservative, you wouldn't want your child in Australia. Okay, it's very fair. If your child's in the gap year in Australia, that could happen to them. We choose to have international conventions around detention because we want ourselves and our children and our grandparents to be treated fairly around the world. We can't just completely disregard international conventions that we've signed. It's breaking the law.
Yeah. But I do. There's nothing to do, specifically. You don't have aim until you are waiting. You don't know where you're gonna go, what's gonna happen to you next day. If you are living this house in Rome, you don't know it will be with you tomorrow or not. They can kick you off anytime.
Rape survivors!
We are with you!
Detained children!
We are with you!
Detained children!
We are with you!
Hunger strikers!
We are with you!
So we know there's a lot of activity, we just have to connect it all together, and really, we can change it, and we can close them down! Let's go shake the gates!
Serco, under the pressure of numerous accusations against guards and public outrage, terminated the employment of 31 guards from the Yarl's Wood Immigration Removal Centre in July 2014. a lawsuit against Serco for the wrongful death of Christine Case will be brought before the court in September.